Good evening. We're here for our regular Board Mayor and Alderman meeting, but before that, we have 3 public hearings on some property rezonings. So we're just going to run through those and see if anyone has any comments. The first public hearing is a request to rezone property located at 208 West Deckard Street from medium density residential R2 to high density residential R3. Is anyone here to talk about that rezoning? Doesn't look like there is. The second, so that public hearing will be closed. The second public hearing, a request to rezone property located at 115 North Collins Avenue from general commercial C2 to neighborhood commercial C3. Is anyone here to speak about that rezoning? Okay. And then the third one is a request to rezone property located at 1311 Cedar Lane from restricted industrial and warehousing I1 to low density residential R1. Is there anyone here to speak to that? Seeing none, we'll close those public hearings. We'll have a call to order on our regular agenda. If you would stand, and we'll have the invocation and the pledge. We're on Chevy Seals. Sorry.
Let us pray. O loving and gracious God, we thank you for the wonderful city of Tullahoma. We believe that it's a privilege to live here. And we ask that you guide all decisions and conversations that take place tonight for the good of all citizens. We also ask that you protect our police officers, our firefighters, as well as our first responders who work diligently for our great community. This we ask in your name, and all of God's people said. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Starting our meeting out this evening with some commendations, I'm happy to report that we had 3 Tullahoma High School students this year with perfect ACT scores, and so we thought it was proper and fitting to recognize them. And so we have this evening, I think everyone's here, Sadler Duncan, Seth Vaughn, and Kaylee Williams. If y'all will join me up here. Yep. Around here, we're gonna get a photo.
Yeah. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, and we go 1 more. 2, 3. Got it.
Mom's back there still taking video. I got a question. Go ahead. I got a question, Ms. Duncan. Do you know what percentage of people score perfect score?
Less than,
0.19%.
it's less than a quarter of a percent.
Less than 4%.
1.6 million.
I certainly never came close to it myself. Congratulations, guys. Appreciate your The other thing we want to read this evening, we're going to present this later in the week, but we're going to read a proclamation for Police Officers Memorial Day. And with this will be happening, is it Thursday morning? I think it's correct. It's a Thursday morning. I'm going to read this proclamation for the chief, and chief will be presenting this later. Is the chief here? Yeah, there he is. To recognize National Police Week 2025 and to honor the service and sacrifice of law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Tullahoma Police Department, and whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently more than 24,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, including 5 members of the Tullahoma Police Department. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., with 345 new names of fallen heroes being added this spring, including 148 officers killed in 2024 and 197 officers killed in previous years. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 37th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2025. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifice of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our Tullahoma Police Department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against oppression, and therefore be it resolved that on behalf of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, I, Lynn Seaborn, Mayor of the City of Tullahoma, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim May 11th through 17th, 2025 as Police Week in Tullahoma, and May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, in honor of law enforcement officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. And be it further resolved that the Tullahoma Board of Mayor and Aldermen publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation, and calls upon all citizens to join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, preserving the rights and security of all citizens. Thank you, Chief. Chief, what time is that event Thursday morning?
It's 9 a.m.
So 9 a.m. in front of the police station if anyone's interested in attending that. Thank you for that. All right, this time we'll have comments from citizens. We had a sign-up sheet, no one signed up, but there's a few folks I wondered, is there anybody that had a public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? So, motion. In a second. So we have motion second. I neglected to mention, we did roll call electronically, and Alderman Glick will not be here this evening. So we have 6 present. So if there's no other discussion on the agenda, let's vote. Why am I not signed in? I signed in. All right. All right, 6-0 on the agenda. So we have the agenda approved. It's time for reports from the alderman. I don't know which side I started on. I'll start with Matthew Byrd this time. Alderman Byrd.
Thank you. I don't have much to report. I was able to go to the fentanyl awareness event at Ada Farrell. I wanted to thank you for everyone who's involved with that, and especially to the police officers who came to show their support for the cause there. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson.
Thanks, Mayor. I have no report this evening.
Ms. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few things. I also attended the fentanyl awareness event at Ada Farrell. And thanks again to everyone who participated, especially our Tullahoma Police Department. I would also like to recognize and congratulate the Director of Tullahoma City Schools, Dr. Katrine Stevens, for scoring an A+ on her evaluation. And just to congratulate these students for receiving a perfect score on their ACT. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you. Coach Mathis.
No report tonight, sir.
No report.
Thank you.
Mr. Donald.
Neither do I.
All right. So the mayor's got a short report, and I'm going to keep it even shorter now. Y'all make me look bad. But 2 weeks ago, at the last meeting, I wasn't here because the Arnold Community Council takes an annual trip to Washington to speak on behalf of AEDC and issues related to AEDC. And so we were up there. We had an excellent visit in the Pentagon. This year was marked by the fact that we got to meet with the the Air Force Chief of Staff, which is the general in charge of the entire United States Air Force. And that is an intimidating meeting to sit in, let me tell you. But it was a really good meeting. We had a set of meetings there, and we met with our senators and our representatives and some representatives from other states that have some of the other AEDC facilities located. And we also attended a reception with the Huntsville Chamber of Commerce, who was doing their same trip the same time we were. And we went to their reception, made some good contacts there. But just know that people in D.C. know about AEDC. And so that was a good trip. And then the other thing I just want to mention and thank all the staff members of the city that supported the Mayor's Youth Council Job Shadow Day last week, which was a lot of fun. I spent the morning with them. I had a couple of people shadowing me, and a couple were shadowing Mr. Glick, and a couple were shadowing Lyle Russell, and we all ended up in the same room together so they could kind of see a working meeting, talking about an item that's going to be on the agenda later. And I can just say that all these young people, if you get them in a room and start asking them to express their opinion, once you prime them a little bit, you'll get some opinions out of these young leaders. And I thought, and good opinions, not just silly stuff. I mean, it was a very excellent conversation. I hope it was useful for them, and there was other departments that shadowed as well. So thank you, Mr. Glick, for that. You got a comment on that?
Quick.
What did I say?
You've called me Kurt Glick twice
I'm
now.
sorry. Your names rhyme far too well.
That's all right.
Sorry, next item is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll go ahead.
Oh, yeah,
I'll
that's right.
keep it
Sorry.
brief as well. Just an update, design work continues at the intersection of Kings Lane and Country Club. We've had several meetings with TUA on pole relocation. I have met with the property owners who have the old King estate, the old King home. So we feel like that's coming along very well. We're still bound to determine we're going to have that completed before the school year starts at the end of July. So we're pushing hard on that, but we've had a lot of good movement, and we feel like that's something that's going to be very beneficial to the citizens of Tullahoma. I want to echo what Mayor, you had said. The youth council was extremely good. One of the things that we spent time with was talking to them about what do you like about Tullahoma, but more importantly, what do you need to see in the city of Tullahoma in order for you to consider living here, either after college, after high school, or for whatever point in their life? And so they gave us some really good feedback on that. And I again, Mayor, you hit it right on the head. If you want to know, just ask them, because they'll flat tell you. But we had some good meetings, and then we had the mock city council meeting, or city board of mayor and alderman meeting, and it was really good and entertaining. And they had some very thought-provoking ideas that or questions as well. So appreciated that. Last week I did attend the TCMA summer conference, very well attended, and had a lot of good speakers that talked about hiring the best employees, but more importantly, how do you keep the best employees? So looking to bring back some of that information, share it with HR, and we're going to start looking at some ways that we can make sure that we're doing everything that we can to recruit and retain the best possible employees. Two last things, an update. Alderman Glick, the last time we met, asked for me to look into the parking lot situation with some of our large shopping centers. So what we're doing is we are going and we're putting together a report for each one of the parking lots in question. I will then be sending communications to the property owners, just asking for them to help us in a partnership perspective as far as trying to make Tullahoma look the best that it possibly can. We were able to locate a international code that we can use that would pretty much gives us the authority to request this, but we're not going to come in heavy-handed and try to demand it, but just try to work with them on what they can do to try to make the parking lots better from a safety perspective as well as a visual perspective. And then Coach Mathis, you had asked for me to check on cameras in the Greenway. We did that.
I got your figures.
Okay, yeah. So we were able to come up, it's going to be about $27,354 for a 4-unit station, and we're thinking we're going to need 5 stations minimal to even consider it being a worthwhile project. So that's something that, you know, if you, Coach Mathis, want to get with me, I could put together some more information for you if you want to bring it before the board for us to look at that. We can definitely do that. And then our city attorney, Steve Worsham, had asked if he could make a comment.
Yes, sir.
I don't usually have any announcements to make to the board. In times past, I was one of the people that did make reports to the board, but I thought it was more appropriate for Mr. Quick, pardon me, to make all the reports because he's so comprehensive to all that. But I had something important I wanted to share with you today. I was invited, along probably with some of the others of you, to attend the 53rd birthday anniversary of the Senior Citizens Center down in the city's complex down there, W. Wilson. I went there, had a wonderful meal, met a lot of people. They erroneously introduced me as the city administrator. So I was tempted to take that as a license to tell them all kinds of good things, but I didn't. I promise you I didn't do it. That's been there for 53 years. That building is 27 years old, and I'd like to invite every one of you to go down there and share with them the things that they have. They have all kinds of things. I'd never been in it before, but it's just amazing. They have lost some of their funding as a result of some cutbacks. They get funding from the county, they get some funding for us, but I'd like to see the city support them every way we could. They do great work. A lot of people there. It was really, really exhilarating. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to the consent agenda, though. I keep trying to usually skip, and this time I'm trying to get to too fast, but the only thing on that is the approval of minutes. So we have a motion to approve that. And a second. So motion from Alderman Mathis, second
We
from.
don't have any ability over here to
It just
make
says
motions
present.
or anything.
Let her look at that for just a moment.
Well, we did it like 3 times.
Yeah, this is my third time signing it.
It's kicking you
Kick
back
me
out.
back.
I think it kicked me out once too. All right, is everybody signed in at the moment? Well, let's vote then before it kicks us out again.
It just says,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, 6 yes on the consent agenda. That brings us to unfinished business. There's no other unfinished business, so we'll jump to new business here. Item number 3, ordinance number 1648. An ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code to rezone a parcel located at 208 West Deckard Street from medium-density residential R2 to high-density residential R3 zoning district for passage on the first of 2 readings. Do we have a motion and a second on that? Mr. Luthi, any comments on this? I'm just asking, do you have any comments on this?
What we have is we have a property owner who's looking to take it from R2, and that he wants to have multiple density, or increased density. He's looking to basically have that rezoned and then be able to have, I believe, 2 lots out of that, and then he could have 2 homes versus the 1.
this
And
did
it
pass
does, it does conform with the other properties that are surrounding that piece of property in particular.
And this did pass with favorable recommendation from the board, from the planning commission. Ms. Wilson, did you have a comment?
I just had a quick question. If they're just doing 2 lots and 2 houses, I was just curious why it was R2 to R3.
So this property, the reason why it's being rezoned from R2 to R3 is because while it meets all the dimensional standards for width and size, well, not size, but width and density for R2, it does not meet the minimum lot size. It is currently an 18,500 square foot lot, so if it is subdivided while it meets the lot width requirements, it's just not large enough. R2 requires a 10,000 square foot lot size minimum, and these lots would net out to be about 8,250 square feet. So we need to move that from R2 to R3 so that those lots could conform with the surrounding lots, which are about that same 9,000 square foot size.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other further comments or questions on that one? If not, let's vote. Passes 6-0. Item number 4, ordinance number 1649, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code to rezone a parcel located at 115 North Collins Avenue from general commercial C2 to neighborhood commercial C3 for passage for the first of 2 readings. All right. We have a motion and a second from Alderman Byrd and Alderman Mathis. Any comments or questions on this one? All right. We'll go ahead and vote. That one passes 6-0. And then the third of these, item number 5, ordinance number 1650, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code to rezone a parcel located at 1311 Cedar Lane from residential industrial and warehousing to low-density residential R1 for the passage on the first of 2 readings. Do we have a motion second on that? Motion from Alderman Mathis, second from Alderman McGee. Any questions or comments on this one? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just like to advise the board that the requested parcel that is being rezoned was a new parcel that was created at the last planning commission meeting. The applicant is waiting to get that parcel recorded until after it has been rezoned, just in case for whatever reason the rezoning was held up or didn't go through. It wouldn't make any sense to create the new parcel. So that is why you'll notice in the description there is no tax map and ID number. We don't have those yet. However, this parcel is described in your packet via the attached map, and that parcel was approved by the Planning Commission at the last meeting.
Yes.
Could I, maps and everything, that's great. Give me a location, like close to.
So this is on McKellar Drive, and it is at the corner of McKellar. If you come down McKellar, you'll notice there is a house right at the edge of the corner, and then there's another house, and there's about a vacant lot that sits in between those two houses. There's a telephone pole and a fire hydrant located on that lot, and it's currently vacant. While it's part of a larger 300-acre parcel that is the Cedar Lane parcel, this is just a very small portion that touches the McKellar Drive, and it's just on the corner of McKellar.
So technically, it's on McKellar Drive.
Yeah.
That's what
Correct,
confused
but-
me. I was looking at it and went, where in the world is that?
Yes, the actual parent parcel is addressed at Cedar Lane, but it's a portion of the Cedar Lane parcel that touches McKellar
Off the
Drive.
road.
The new
trying
parcel,
to figure
once it has
where
been
this is.
recorded,
Yeah, must be.
would have a McKellar Drive address.
Would have it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the same discussion in the planning commission meeting. It was a
Okay,
little
that's
bit
what I was
confusing.
asking. I'm familiar with McKellar because I used to own it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, let's vote. Motion carries 6-0. The next one, resolution number 2022, a resolution to approve the issuance of tax exempt revenue bonds or other tax exempt debt by the Health and Educational Facility Board of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, Tennessee, for the benefit of Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Do we have someone to speak to this one? Because I know this one may sound a little confusing.
You know what, I'm gonna take a shot at it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I told Vanderbilt they didn't have to come, it's pretty simple. Basically, what Vanderbilt has done, they've gone to the Nashville Health and Education Facilities Board, and they're gonna be receiving bonds from them. The proceeds of those bonds will be used to purchase helicopters at different locations throughout the state of Tennessee, basically replacement helicopters. As you know, we have one of those helicopters here in Tullahoma. The IRS and the board requires that we approve the use of those funds in order for it to go forward. We are not obligated. We have no financial liability responsibility. It's basically saying it's okay to replace the helicopter that you have in our community. And all of the other municipalities, I believe, have already approved this, or they're gonna be approving this. So that's basically what this is.
Yeah. All right. Do we have a motion second? Oh, we did, I'm sorry. So we have a motion from Alderman Wilson, second from Alderman Toma. If there's no other discussion, let's vote. And that carries by 5 votes and Alderman McGee abstaining. Item number 7, resolution number 2023. Resolution of the City of Tullahoma approving an economic impact plan for the Summerlin Development Area and authorizing city officials to take all actions necessary to implement said plan. I assume we're gonna have a presentation about this, right?
So Winston Brooks will be giving a presentation. We also have in attendance Chris Rudd, who was the developer, and I believe we may have several others. I know we have some from the TAEDC board, but I would like to ask Winston if he would come forward to make the presentation.
Can we go ahead and get a motion second on that? Thank you.
Did we get the second?
Yes.
Mayor, Alderman, thank you for allowing me to be here today. It's great to be here. It's a great day in Tullahoma, and I'm excited to stand before you at the start of a productive partnership. I also want to introduce our guests, the Summerlin Development LLC, Chris Rudd and Kirsten Hobday. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to work with them. And our attorney, Betsy Knotts, is in the audience as well. The Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation is an industrial authority stood up by this board, and our members are appointed by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And so this application that they submitted has been vetted by the top economic development attorneys in the state, if maybe even the nation. And so, TIF is not new to Tullahoma. We did one for the mall, and we saw the success of that. And it's also a very common financing tool used around the country. Part of the process was there was an application review committee stood up that was made up of my board as well as representatives from the city administrator and finance director. And we diligently worked with the developers to hash out the agreement that's before you tonight. And so I believe this is a fair deal and is going to be an exciting development for Tullahoma that will provide many economic development benefits, as well as be a catalyst to build out the rest of North Jackson. So what's before you there in terms of the cover sheet? You know, in October of 2023, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen approved the rezoning of the Summerlin parcel to a planned mixed use. This plan is going to include approximately 50,000 square feet of retail commercial space. So this is one of the things I'm most excited about. We don't have any commercial space available in Tullahoma, and so this is the first steps to have a development that will allow new commercial development, and we have plenty of retailers that want to be there. And so this, again, like I said, will open up the new commercial space, and also I think will serve as a catalyst for that area. There's also going to be, we've had a dearth of housing in this community for our young people and our professionals that work here. This is going to open up 300 new townhomes, 320 multifamily homes, as well as 350 single-family homes. The developer submitted their application, and the maximum amount is up to $18.4 million, with up to a 20-year payback to finance the identified and eligible infrastructure and other public use and costs in accordance with state law. And again, in the agreement, the infrastructure is defined there very plainly in terms of drainage and roads and sidewalks. It's not, that's all that can be used for by state law. So we asked the developers, we directed them to conduct an economic impact plan and the analysis of the project. And again, that is what's before you, which is also that's done by the Younger Economic Development Firm, again, a respected firm across the country. And so the community will come in, the developer will come in, and this will build this development. And the new taxes are going to be split in a 60-40. And that's what this agreement says, is that 40% of the taxes will be retained by the city, as well as the base taxes that are there being paid now. This is non-recourse financing. There's no risk or liability to the city or the county for that matter. And the new estimated taxes will be 11.6 over 20 years. And then once the project is completed, it is estimated from the Younger report to be $1.5 million generated going forward. Additional benefits to the city and the county. The project is expected to promote economic development, which we've talked about in this area, by providing retail, residential, and recreational opportunities that will draw residents and visitors to the city and the county. It's anticipated that the project will become a catalyst for further development of the surrounding areas. The project will create a significant number of construction jobs during construction of the project. And there's a footnote in the agreement, by the way, that all those, a certain percentage of those construction materials will be purchased locally. I forget the number. Does anybody remember the percentage? We can look it up. It's a significant portion. A description of the project, projected benefits of the project is more fully set forth in the attached Summerlin mixed-use development. And like I said, the funding is non-recourse. It's a great deal for the city, and I'm looking forward to getting this kicked off. We've been working on it for a long time. Be glad to take any questions, and if our developers or anybody else has any comments.
Vincent, I have some questions.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that is the TIF money, and we got the TIF money, which are obligated on the $18,400,000. Is that the maximum, or is the way it's described here to me? We're not just giving them money for the bond. We're also giving them money for the other loans. Is that correct or incorrect?
So it's all contained within that 18.4. It has to remain under that, and all the money. So that if you look at the there's a document. No, it's when the 18.4. Now, return Betsy. I'm correct here. I'm saying that it's within the 18.4 plus interest. Plus interest. So it's never going to go above the 18.4.
You'll understand that. That's for the basis, but it also says here in this chart.
Are you on page 118 or 19?
No, this is on 118, where it says taxes designated for TIF from remaining additional fees than funds allocated to TIF after fees. So is that for other loans that are associated with this, or for other structures, or what?
Winston, I think he's referring to our fees.
No,
I think he's referring to the $35,874,818.
Yeah,
So, yes, sir. So that is in present dollars, so there's this thing called net value. And net present value is the value of a dollar in the future. And so there's a lot of formulas to get to that number. And so that is present dollars, but when you go to net present value, if you look at the bottom of that page, Mr. Toma,
Yeah.
you'll see net present value taxes designated to the TIF, $18,450,683. That's the net present value, and that's the amount that contains in the agreement.
so the 60% that we give to them for the loan is strictly for the 18,000,
18 million.
$18 million, strictly for that. There's no other funds allocated for any other.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you might want to, so I'm gonna, sorry to jump
Yes,
in,
sir.
but.
Yeah, please.
You know, when that gets paid off, we start collecting the rest of it. So it's always.
That's important. But
That's important, and many of these projects pay off early, so that's what we're rooting for here, is that it would pay off early, which just means the property value, you know, came up quicker than anticipated in the loan
Okay.
agreement.
Yeah, asset value is frozen. Is the asset value the value of the property at the time it is started?
It's actually the time, so today, this is 2025, so it'd be based on the tax value of 2024 property tax.
Based on the property tax, is it prorated as the construction goes on, or how's
So
that work?
if you'll turn to page 86, that has the little tax increment financing chart.
Yeah,
So you'll see are you at that page?
yeah, I got it.
So the base property line is frozen, and the city retains that amount, as well as sales tax and any other taxes generated off that property. But it's frozen, and then as the development is built out and is reassessed, the assessment will go up, creating the increment, and that is the money that's generated, the revenue to pay off the expenses for the infrastructure and/or the loan used to pay for that
Okay,
infrastructure.
But you're freezing just a small portion of this. So it's the assessed value goes up, so does the tax value, correct?
Right, and
Yes.
that's the value, that's the increment, that's the TIF revenue. That's the revenue that's generated to pay off the debt.
The money the city's receiving right now, we will continue to receive.
Oh, I understand.
And everything
that.
going forward is
Is,
applied to that.
but virtually, we're dealing, okay, if we have a tax increase in the city of Tullahoma, that's not frozen, correct?
Should be.
No,
So we're freezing the tax rate and the assessed
I'm
value?
sorry.
Is
well,
that
that's a good
correct?
question.
That is a
I
good
think if
question. I can't remember. That's
Yeah,
an
I would say
attorney
that it would
question.
go up. I mean, the base tax would go up if we have a tax rate increase.
Yeah, but they
No.
still get
No,
60/40.
oh, no, they're saying it's frozen.
Excuse me.
So the rate is frozen, and if there's an increase in the tax rate over the city, it will be frozen. So it won't be.
So
it won't
whatever
apply.
our rate is today will
That's
be
what it's frozen.
exactly what
Yes.
they'll have for 20 years.
However, if that happens, they're gonna pay off sooner.
Well, we hope that the tax
No.
rate would go up.
Yeah, but if the
So,
tax
and
is-
that would be to their benefit because they're getting 60% of that
Yeah.
increase. Am I
So-
correct?
I'm Betsy Knotts. I'm an attorney from Bass, Berry & Sims in Nashville and helped draft some of these documents in front of you. State law requires that the base tax amount be frozen as of the year before the plan is approved. So the base tax amount that's in the economic impact plan, I think it's Exhibit B or C, that is the amount that is frozen. However, state law also requires that the increase in the increment, a portion of it is earmarked to pay debt service. So whatever your debt obligations are, the city of Tullahoma, those will be paid out of that. That is not given over to the developer. And then in this plan, which is very unique, 40% of the new increment is going back to the city for the entire life of the TIF. That is not normal. Most of the time, that 40% goes over to the developer. So it's coming back to the city.
Yeah, well, if you look at the dollars and cents figure for the state in the county, I mean, we're splitting, well, we're not quite splitting it because the county rate's higher than the city rate. So our payout is a very gradual increment to us, correct? Because you're freezing the rate and then you're freezing the,
So the rate is not frozen.
Okay,
The
that's
tax
what I
rate
was
is not
asking.
frozen. So there's a base tax amount that's calculated as of the year before the plan is approved
When you say a base amount, you mean in dollars?
in dollars.
Yeah, not the rate.
So the whole point of the increment is that the rate can go up over time, and that portion of the increment will go to either pay off the loan, or 40% of it will go back to the city.
Pay off the loan.
Yes, pay off any kind of
So if-
financing
So if the
or,
rate I'm
sure.
trying to understand.
Yeah, of course.
So if the rate's $1 today, and 5 years from now, it goes to $1.50, we're still frozen at the $1. Nope, we get to go to the $1.50
Let's-
rate.
Look
And-
back.
But we're splitting it 60-40.
So the $1.50 rate, you'd have to look at how much you'd produce, like an amount of tax revenues, and you deduct out the base tax amount, which I think is around $4,000. It's really not much.
$4,000, okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So over 20 years, it's, city, it's $24,000.
Okay. So, but then you'd also deduct out any amount needed to pay debt service. So if the city of Tullahoma has general obligation bonds outstanding with a payment of $200,000 that year, that money would come out proportionate out of that pool of revenue. And you would get 40% of the new pool of revenue returning to the city based on the $1.50.
Everybody understand that?
So,
Good.
the bottom line is, whatever amount of money in dollars we're getting right now, we will continue to get the entire portion of the TIF, and any increase goes to paying off the TIF, and when it's paid off,
Which
then
we
we get
hope is
everything.
faster.
Which we hope is fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you something, one more question.
Sure.
So, my understanding is we collect the property tax, and then you all pay us 100%, and then we turn around and give you back 60%? Is that how the mechanics work?
Yes.
They pay their taxes just like normal.
You pay your taxes, you deduct that as an expense. Does the 60 that comes back to y'all have to pay taxes on that?
Well,
It's revenue in it, back to you. I'm just curious.
yeah, so the way it works is they will pay taxes normally as they will, and so the city will collect those, and then Sue will set up an account for TAEDC that holds those funds until they're requested for us to pay, and the proper invoicing and whatnot have been presented so that we can pay that out. We don't have to pay taxes now because we're.
No, I know we don't pay, but we don't pay taxes on the 40, but we're giving them 60 back, correct? We're gonna write them a check for 60% of the tax.
Right, I don't think that counts as income because it's going into
So they don't
infrastructure.
get to count it as income.
Well, I
It's
mean,
going into public
I'm just
I'm
curious.
guessing,
curious.
It's going into public infrastructure.
Yeah, it's going into public infrastructure, so
What's
it
that
probably is
mean?
not really a taxable, revenue stream.
Oh, gee, that's a good deal. Deducted, okay. What's my other question? It also indicated here that Tullahoma, public infrastructure. What is Tullahoma's commitment? Do we have any infrastructure that we're gonna have to pay or do? Do we have to put do we have any money going into it?
No, sir. In fact, we will, the roads will be dedicated to us at the end of the project, but in fact, under this type of agreement, there's going to be a development agreement that's negotiated, and as part of that, again, we will discuss, how things are going to be built, but they're going to provide some funding for some infrastructure, like potentially a new firehouse, that type of thing. Those things will be put into that fire. So we will not be spending any money. We'll actually be getting more benefit.
Okay. In section 4 of this deal, it says the board, subject to the terms of one or more development agreements to be negotiated with the developer, will pay and/or reimburse the developer for all or a portion of costs of such public infrastructures and other eligible costs upon receipt of adequate documentation of such costs. And maybe that's just standard language put in there in case that is part of the deal. Am I correct? All these things are duplicated, so I'm just asking. That's where I came in with infrastructure.
Right. I believe that's referring to the TIF revenue that we are going to pay back out to the
Now, this is under financial
on
assistance.
financial assistance.
So am I correct on that?
Yes, so the document contemplates both a reimbursement arrangement as well as debt service. So I think initially, the increment will probably just accrue in an account, and when the developer has completed the infrastructure and properly invoices the Economic Development Corporation, and they say, yes, this is an eligible cost, they will reimburse the developer from the increment that has accrued in that account.
It's all above my head, and I want to make sure that I
No, I understand,
Because
yeah.
to be honest with you, 20 years from now, I am not going to be here to appreciate it.
But yes, it contemplates reimbursement and debt, so you can go either way.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I understand how this
No,
money is shifted
and I really appreciate our
goes.
clarification. And just so you understand too, as an industrial authority that our board is, we can be a pass-through for private financing, or we can issue bonds. But there will probably be a pass-through for private financing, or whatever the arrangement is. It doesn't matter because it's all, it's non-recourse financing on our part.
Oh, I understand.
So it's just one of the tools that the state allows as an industrial authority.
Any other questions, comments?
Not a question, just a statement. The Summerlin development is what started me on the path to run for an alderman. Mr. Holt and I, when we first heard about this, started gathering signatures because we didn't want it. We were quite close-minded about that. After speaking with Mr. Rudd and realizing what this could bring to our community, both for the housing and for the commercial side of it, it made me realize that I was wrong to start with. And then after being appointed to the TAEDC and being able to have these conversations with Winston and getting an education on what the TIF does for us and for the developer, it's been extremely helpful. And just wanted to thank you, Winston.
Excellent.
I got one more.
Yep.
Okay, if they happen to default on the bond and they got $8 million into this, did it indicate that that comes back to the city?
No.
Or not? That just, where,
Goes back to the developer.
the developers defaulted,
Right.
so they can sell that property,
Correct.
so we don't have any equity in it at all after we've
I
given
think that's the
them
correct answer. Is I've never heard it put like that with equity. I don't think we have any equity or stake in it. I mean, except for the fact that we want the development to happen to provide for the economic benefit that's laid out in the economic impact plan. And then we will receive those benefits ongoing once the infrastructure is built. So there's also the but-for clause. Like, if it wasn't for this financing as part of their capital stack, it wouldn't be happening. So.
Oh, I understand.
So just to clarify, because I think this is, we did this once before, and I was on the board when we did it before. If there was an actual default, if the company were to abandon the project, and I'm certain they're not gonna do that, but if they were, then immediately, whatever the current property value is, we would receive that at that point for taxes, correct?
Yes.
Wouldn't be any-
Yeah.
So these types of provisions will be negotiated and memorialized in a development agreement, which hasn't happened yet.
Right.
But I can tell you what all other similar development agreements have in there. And usually it'll say something like the city and county could finish the infrastructure and use the increment to pay for it and then go after the developer for damages, that kind of thing. So there's still opportunity to finish the project, but then get
If the
reimbursed.
project wasn't finished, then it would just, the agreement, what does the agreement contemplate typically if the project's not gonna be finished?
Usually there will be some type of litigation at that point,
Yeah.
and you would,
But the litigation is more on account of the fact that the property's left in kind of a
Right.
damaged state, correct?
and they've defaulted and they haven't.
But they will not continue to collect the increment at that point?
No,
Right,
no.
so we'll get the money at that point, even though the property may not be
Yeah.
worth what it would be had it been developed.
Well,
Correct.
the typical, that's just like a bond, a standard bond. You default, the bond company comes in, they want to find somebody to finish the project.
Right.
And, they want to, who holds the bond?
I don't know what the city regulations are. Are you talking about the actual like municipal bond, the
Isn't it
Industrial
called a
Development
bond?
Board?
Our
The
board.
Economic
We
Development
won't
Corporation.
will we necessarily have a bond?
We don't
won't-
right now.
yeah, we
This
don't necessarily
contemplates
have
a
a bond.
reimbursement
Yeah.
So it's not-
situation.
Technically, it's not a bond.
Not currently.
It's called a bond.
You can have a bond as well.
Right.
You can do, it's multiple ways to do it, but
Okay.
Yeah, come on, go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Chris Rudd with the Beacon Companies, and we're the developer for the project, and I think I can answer some of your questions.
Thank you.
So the way that this works, in layman's terms, it's a reimbursement. So we are eligible for a reimbursement of our expenses for public infrastructure work. Sewer, water, roads, curb gutter, things that are dedicated over to the city or the county. Those are things that we can get reimbursed for out of this increment, but once they're complete. So we fund them up front. They're funded by us up front, and then we are eligible for reimbursement of those types of public infrastructure expenses after they are completed. So it's a really good tool for the city and the county because there's no risk up front. We are paying for it up front. It's out of our pocket, and the reimbursement comes after it's done. So these are not dollars that are advanced before the work is complete. And I think that's an important point to be made. Secondly, about your bond point. Could be a bond. It could also, more often what it would be is a loan, a development loan. And there's different ways to skin the cat. But it would very likely be a development loan that would come to us with our guarantee. The dollars would be collected from the increment that's created, the additional property tax value over the current value of the property that's created because of the development. That's reassessed, as often, I guess, annually or and then a bump every 4 years, I think, or 5 years or whatever it is. But however that process is managed, that loan would be put into, or there's a value calculation, a net present value calculation, and we would be able to go out, get a loan for that we would guarantee completion. And then once that work is complete, we could use those dollars to again, reimburse for that work. So it could also be a bond, and it would be done in a similar way. But again, it's a reimbursement. It's not monies paid up front, and I think that's an important point.
great explanation, thank you, Chris.
Any other questions? All right, well, if that's no other questions, let's go ahead and vote.
Something isn't right, is it?
Yep, that's what it says, something isn't right. She said push the X. All right, there you go. All right, 6 yes. Congratulations, sir. Look forward to that development. All right, that was the tough one for the night, probably. At least that was the most complicated one for the night. Item 8 on the agenda item number 25-50. A request from the Parks and Recreation Department to approve the contract for 6-wire performance agreement in the amount of $7,500 and authorize the mayor to execute the same. That's the contract for the 4th of July performance, correct? So we have a motion and a second for that. We do. Any discussion on that aside from the fact that 6-wire is awesome? All right, let's vote. All right, that passed 6-0. Item number 9, agenda item number 25-51, a request from the finance director to accept the FY 2024 audit as presented. And so we were presented with a copy of our audit for FY 2024, and we're just required to, basically this vote is just acknowledge that we've received that report, correct? Yeah, so a motion. Alderman Thomas attempting to second, and it's not letting you?
No, I was gonna ask is, I'm sorry,
Go
are
ahead.
we approving this?
No, we're just acknowledging receipt, right?
You're accepting it.
You're accepting it.
We're accepting the physical book here, we're not accepting the audit itself, correct?
You're accepting the audit and you have an opportunity to ask questions if you haven't.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you, that was before my time. But, I mean, something like this is pretty dead detailed. I didn't see, and I may have overlooked it, there's usually a statement made by the accountant You know, like they were delinquent in this or they were favorable in that, kind of a summary
List of findings.
report.
Yeah.
Not sure exactly. You get them with these corporation stuff all the time. Obviously, I have not dug into this to the ultimate deal, but, so we're accepting this as is. Is that correct?
Yes, it has been submitted both to the federal board and also to the state.
And they've approved it?
They have accepted it. The state, it usually takes the state 6 to 8 months to review and approve it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Sue. I'm just trying to understand how the
And-
procedures
and,
work
Mincy
on
Wickberg
this.
is here from our audit firm to speak to if you have questions for her.
Yeah, I know you take care of us. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't put myself in a position where I couldn't come back and say, why didn't we do this?
Can always do that.
Never do that. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Not, let's vote. And that passes 6-0. Agenda item, the 11th item on our agenda, agenda item number 25-53. Request from the city administrator to accept a donation of a parcel of property. Did I skip one?
There's one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where am I at? Yeah, I'm sorry, number 10. Item 25-52, it said finance director. My brain just skipped over it because we just done one. A request from the finance director to approve the FY25 audit contract with Wickberg Accounting and authorize the mayor and city administrator to execute the same. So this is for the current year, correct? So we have a motion and by Alderman Byrd, second by Alderman Mathis. Any discussion there? I assume you're happy with the work that was been done?
Yes, and we expect to have a good partnership to move forward and get it done quicker this next year even.
Good. All right. There's no questions to that. Well, let's vote. Six yes. Now, the 11th item on our agenda, agenda item number 25-53, a request from the city administrator to accept donation of a parcel of property which serves as an entrance into Blue Creek Estates from Hart & Family LLC. Mr. Quick, you want to tell us about this?
So basically, as you take a right onto West Side, you will then turn into Blue Creek. There's about 9,500 square feet of parcel that the city has maintained. It's basically the entrance to Blue Creek. We paved it, we've maintained it for all these years. Basically,
So this is road property,
it
right?
is, it's road
Yeah.
property. And so they're asking us to accept the donation since we already take care of all of it and basically take it off the tax rolls.
So basically, we've got a strip of street about yay long that's.
Either that, you
yeah.
know, someone could put a toll bridge up. I don't, hope they don't before, we need to go ahead and approve this so they don't.
All right. We have a motion and seconds or any other discussion about that? All right, let's vote. All right, that passes 6-0. And then this last item in our new business, agenda item 25-54, a request from the mayor to approve the agreement between Viewpoint Pioneer Production Services LLC and the city of Tullahoma in the amount of $29,300 and mayor to execute agreements and documents for the production. Mr. Quick, you kind of have a little presentation on this. You had in the packet.
So Winston Brooks and I have met or have spoken with Anthony Davis, who is the producer of this series. It's Viewpoint with Dennis Quaid. It's one that he has hosted for some time now. What they do is they produce 5 to 6 minute presentations, videos on certain topics, and one of the areas they focus on are smaller communities. And they take this presentation and then they will have it placed on CNN, Fox News, on PBS, and NPR. That's where the value comes in. They'll do all the production, and I think there may be links if you look into some of the emails and some of the other documentation that's in there. Very, very well put together. This is an opportunity for us to be able to have a video that we can then also use. We have all the rights to it. We have all the content. Sign off on it. We produce a lot of the content as far as what we want them to do with it. But it is something that we can use and publicize the city of Tullahoma and basically what we talked to you about. And this contact came from the mayor. I believe he reached out to the mayor.
I got a phone call.
Yeah, who then had him give us a call. I know it's $30,000, but I truly believe it's something that will allow us to go out and present ourselves to others, not only light industrial or even large manufacturers that may want to come in, but also residents. One of the things that you'll also look at from a public television standpoint, if you look at the demographic of a public television viewer, you know, they're usually your white collar professional that may be looking to relocate their own business or whatnot. But we just feel like it's an opportunity for us to take a part of, be involved with our tourism, but also being part of our economic development. So we see it as both something that both TAEDC and the City of Tullahoma community engagement can be involved with.
I left my packet at the house by accident, but can you read out the number of the views and the number?
Gosh,
I think that's
60, was it 60 million? 60 million views is what they typically would get, and that's views, and it's also on social media as well. But it hits every corner of the country, top to bottom.
Thank you there. It's detailed in the. I'm going to read just one little section just for everyone's benefit. The attached agreement outlines studio production include 5 to 6 minute production that serves as a gap bridge between regular 60 to 60 minute features on public broadcasting channels. Production will air 45 to 60 times per quarter, reaching roughly 60 million households and businesses nationwide. That's a lot of reach for the money. So, any comments or questions?
There might not even be a public broadcast service.
Well, that may be the case, but they still
Well,
got the
that
reach.
would be-
Though. They still got the reach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have an opportunity to look at any of these? They gave us some
The videos?
insights on those deals.
Yeah.
They're incredible.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah, they're top notch.
top notch.
Would you be
What
able
they-
to send us that email?
I
so we
sure
view
can.
those too?
I can do that. What they would do is we would work with them, and they've given us a time schedule. They would come to the city of Tullahoma for a 2 to 3 day shoot, if you will. But we would be working with them throughout the time. They're based out of California. We'd be working with them.
I thought they were based out of Florida, actually, or at least the office we were talking to was in Florida.
Was that Delray?
Yeah.
But I think his production team will be coming out of California.
Maybe.
And then we would be able to just, go around and make sure the shoot is the way we want it. We
And
do
then
have the funds
And then we
for
have
it.
full use it ourselves, so we can put it on our website, use it in our marketing. We can work with our retail strategies folks, and they can use that. Tullahoma, as seen on Viewpoint by Dennis Quaid, is not a bad tagline. So,
We do have the funds available in our tourism budget, so we already have that money allocated. We just really haven't had a project that we had come across that really made sense to us.
all right, any other questions? If not, let's vote. That's 6 yes, appreciate that. And with that, that's the end of our regular meeting, so our regular meeting's adjourned. Do y'all want a break before we start the study session here, like 2 minutes or anything? All right, let's take like a 5-minute break, and then we'll come right back to our budget study session.
Are they here?